So yeah, it's I don't know if you can read that. That's negative, I don't know, negative 14 C. So I forget what that translates to Fahrenheit, but it's pretty flippin' cold. So alright, YouTube, pretty happy with it. Worked well. A couple small issues got to fix. Obviously had to keep the I got to tighten up the chain or whatever on the mechanism on the blower, because it would keep walking itself over every time it would get past center. Handle would start turning. The other issues, I think the clutches on the blower need to be adjusted, because towards the end it just started getting bogged down and just, you know, pooping stuff out. So I need to make some adjustments there. It ran good. I know I had to at one point it was sputtering a little bit, so I had to like pull the choke on a little bit, and then it cleared up. So obviously some carburetor adjustments are in order. So, but definitely happy with the results. I got to get all these things fixed before I go out later. So talk to you later. All right, I got it apart. So I tightened these up. They're actually pretty loose. Basically what you do is there's these nuts on the back side. Let me get the light on there. So you basically see that right there, that nut. So you unloosen that. That's a lock nut. So this is tapped. This plate here is tapped. So you basically unloosen that. You tighten these each one of these bolts all the way in until it stops. Basically, you crush the spring, and then you do 1/2 turn out, back them out, 1/2 turn out, and lock them. So basically, you know, you go from here, you know, here I'll do it. I'll show you. Basically from here, wrong way. So 1/2 turn would be from here all the way over. And you just do that to each one, and then go back and lock down all the lock nuts, and that's factory set. So these are pretty loose, so hopefully that solves some of the sloshing issue. Now I got to tackle that nut there. I got to just tighten, I believe it's just tighten that up. So let me go after that. All right, so I went back out, did the updates. So just to kind of summarize all the problems I had. First problem I noticed was, again, this the rod to this rubber hose was not tight enough. That's in the first video you saw. I had to tighten that. Second problem was you know, the skids on the blower were too low, so the bottom edge was like rubbing against the driveway, and you heard that, like, you know, rubbing horrible sound. So, but as long as I kept pressure on the front end, it wasn't that bad. But I did, you know, put a board around here somewhere. That board right there, I don't know if you can see it, but it's like a 3/4 inch or 1 inch board. Put that underneath, that helps. So it wasn't really an issue. After I did that, the chute kept going again, like I said in the other video, kept going, wanted to go, and you saw me while I was using it, trying to keep the bar rotated to keep it from rolling over. Basically all you have to do is tighten this nut right here to a point, but it was like a funky balance, because if I tighten this too much, then this slid, and I couldn't rotate it, so I couldn't crank it down too much. It should be good now, but I think what I'm going to do is, once, as you can see, everything's frozen on here. Once the warm weather comes back, I'm going to take this off and damage and roughen up this bar, the edge that actually goes in here, so then it'll give you a better grip, and put another clamp on it. When I went to go after, I don't have video of the second time I went out because it was too dark. One of the reasons why too dark, the choke, as I was showing you again in the last video at the end, after I was right done, the choke froze up, the choke cable. So I had to like disconnect it from the carburetor. That was leaking too, like when I was trying to fool with it. finally got it running and ran it manually, a manual choke on it. So yeah, so we had a few small issues. Luckily, it was only small issues. The other thing I had to tighten up, which the connecting rod here, so the high-low rod, it was pretty, when I put it into low, it was soft. So I adjusted the jam nuts so it really locked in to low much better. So again, the second time I went out with this, no issues throwing, it wasn't sloshing out, really seemed fine. So we're all good with that. So the next morning, so on Friday morning, this thing was, because everything's frozen up, I'm in a shed here, and it's today is Saturday, so everything's like 6 degrees right now. So actually I can show you I'll get a video of the temperature in a minute. But anyways, I fired up my old piece of shit, I shouldn't say it because it still runs, my old Snow Champ there, which has got the Tecumseh on it. Literally, I dragged it out of the corner, didn't check the oil's fine, threw fresh gas in it, started first pull on Friday morning, like no issues. It was, despite it being a little, little lightweight, little tiny thing, that thing, starts up first pull, even in the coldest days. I'm actually gonna fire it up pretty soon here to go dig out my a path to my oil tank so the oil guy can get to it. But I mean, I got that as a freebie. It's from the 80s. My father-in-law gave it to me, and hey, it's my my backup when the Gravely becomes a headache. My biggest frustration is not these little issues. This little issues I'm okay with. Is the fact that I'm in an unheated shed. If I had a garage, I wouldn't mind it as much. I would just pull one of the cars out, and it'd be at least 40 degrees and have some room. But working in the shed, as much as it's better than working outside, it's still a pain in the ass just because everything freezes up. So I mean, this thing, until it thaws out, it's going to be useless unless I throw massive amounts of heat on it. But overall, I was happy with it. Can't wait to, once I get the, everything thawed out and working, and, some better fixes on stuff, get the choke cable back, I'll be running it again. So we're supposed to get a thaw this week, so it should be good. So yeah, it's, I don't know if you can read that. That's negative 14 C. So I forget what that translates to Fahrenheit, but it's pretty flippin' cold. So, all right, but thanks guys. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed the videos. I hope to get back to working on this Suburban at some point. But right now I gotta tackle tackle the Gravely and get that back in shape once the thaw hits. I was pretty, like I said, actually in the other video, I was pretty happy with that little Schumacher maintainer. Did well. It's a crappy battery, but it's still fired up. I was able to crank it enough. I did have to use a little ether on it just to give a little boost. But eventually in the spring I'll go through the Gravely and give it a carburetor tune up, and hopefully we'll run better then. But thanks for watching guys, and keep blowing snow.